The station floated quietly above a gas giant, far from any known human colony. It was called Outpost Theta 9, a peaceful research hub run by alien scientists. The crew believed they were safe, working on genetics and biology in a sterile and controlled place. In the center dining hall, a human girl named Lena sat alone at a small table. She wore a simple brown jacket, black boots, and had a soft red scarf around her neck. In front of her, steam rose from a small metal cup of Shy-Earth's famous spicy tea. Her eyes were half closed. Her breathing was slow. She looked like she might fall asleep at any moment. Around her, loud alien voices buzzed. An announcement had just played over the speakers. Caution. Containment breach in Lab Sector 4. All staff, move to secure zones. Panic spread quickly. Alien researchers rushed through the hall with frightened eyes and datapads in hand. Guards with electric rifles sprinted toward the labs. Doors sealed. Alarms began to echo like slow, steady heartbeats. But Lena did not move. She gently lifted the chai cup to her lips, took one slow sip, and placed it back down with a soft clink. The steam curled upward like smoke from a campfire. An alien student named Jello, short and wide-eyed with blue skin, stopped near her. Table. He was breathing hard. His fingers trembled as he held his cumpad. "You're still here?" Jello asked. "Did you not hear the warning? Something escaped." Lena opened her eyes. Calm. Steady. "I heard," she said. Jello blinked. "Then why aren't you running?" Lena turned slightly, her brown eyes locking on his. "Running doesn't help, not with things like that." "What do you mean?" It's not even in the records. The scanners can't identify it." Jello whispered fast. "They say it's part animal, part machine, something the scientists grew from Deathworld. DNA." At that word Deathworld, Lena raised an eyebrow. "So they finally poked the wrong cell," she muttered. "What?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small pouch of tea leaves. She tapped a few into the chai cup, stirred slowly, and sipped again. The alarms grew louder. A red light blinked across the ceiling. Then came the sound no one wanted to hear, a low, thunderous snarl, followed by the shattering of glass and a scream that cut off too fast. The beast had escaped containment. Jello's skin paled. "It's here." In the hallway behind them, heavy thuds hit the floor, growing louder closer. A wall dented from the outside. "Run!" a voice shouted down the hall. "It's coming through, get out!" Guards were shouting, weapons charged. But none of it seemed to matter. Lena still didn't move. She picked up her chai again and took another sip. The metal doors to the mess hall exploded inward. Sparks flew. Smoke clouded the air. And from that smoke came the beast. It stood over 8 feet tall, covered in dark, scaly armor with eyes that glowed red. Its mouth was filled with razor teeth, and metal claws clicked against the ground. Guards fired. The beast didn't even flinch. It slammed one soldier into a wall. Another went flying across. Tables. Jello ducked behind a bench, shaking. But Lena? Still seated, still sipping chai. The beast paused. Its red eyes scanned the room. The humans were rare out here. This one looked calm, not afraid. Let out a deep growl and turned toward her. Lena finally placed the cup down. She stood up slowly, brushed her jacket, and said softly, "That was my last good cup of chai." The beast took a step forward, claws out. Everyone else was gone. Only she remained standing. Jello peeked from his cover, frozen in disbelief. "Is she insane?" he whispered. Then Lena's hand moved, not fast, but smooth. She picked up the metal tray her cup had been resting on. A simple thing, flat, round, harmless. She held it loosely at her side and whispered one word to herself. All right. The beast roared and charged, but Lena did not run. Not yet. The beast's roar shook the walls. Its body slammed forward, claws, tearing the floor, and tables flew aside like paper. The metal tray in Lina's hand caught the reflection of red lights and death, but she didn't flinch. She waited, perfectly still, eyes focused, breath slow, and at the last possible second she moved. Not fast like a soldier, not wild like someone scared. Her motion was smooth, quiet, precise like she had done it 100 times before. She ducked beneath the beast's claws, spun to the side, and brought the tray upward with all her strength. The edge cracked against the creature's lower jaw. Beast howled. The tray didn't bend. Jelo, still hiding behind the overturned table, gasped. He had seen elite warriors with shock spears fall in seconds. But this girl, this quiet human girl with a cup of tea, had just hurt the monster with a lunch tray. The beast twisted around, faster now, angry. Its tail whipped across the room. Lena jumped, rolling over a table, landing lightly on her feet. The creature snarled again, blood dripping from its jaw. Its armor hissed, self-repairing systems kicking in. Lena looked down at the tray. Still good, she whispered. The beast lunged again. This time it smashed through the dining tables, crashing into a wall. Sparks flew. Pipes burst. Lena ran not away, but toward it. She jumped onto the beast's back, grabbed a thick metal cable dangling from the ceiling, and swung herself up onto the support beams above. The beast turned, confused. From the high angle, Lena stared into its eyes. I've seen worse, she said. You're just big and dumb. It roared again. She leaped off the beam tray, held high, and came down like a hammer. Clang! The tray hit the side of the beast's skull with brutal force. The echo of metal hitting bone filled the room. The creature staggered, off balance. Lena landed in a crouch, breathing steady. More guards tried entering the room now. They stopped at the broken entrance, staring in shock. The lead officer, a tall insectoid alien with 6 limbs, whispered into his cums. The human. She's still fighting it. One of the junior guards asked, should we help? The officer shook his head slowly. We might get in her way. Inside, Lena and the beast circled each other. The monster was learning. It moved slower now, cautious. You're smarter than I thought, Lena said, wiping sweat from her brow. The beast charged one final time, but this time, Lena didn't dodge. She planted her feet, leaned forward, and when the claws came, she dropped beneath them, sliding on the spilled chai across the floor. She came up behind the beast and slammed the tray straight into the joint where its metal spine met organic muscle. A spark shot out. The beast let out a choked growl. It collapsed, breathing heavy, red, light fading from its eyes. Lena stood over it, breathing a little harder now. She looked down. Never interrupt a girl's tea. Outside the mess hall, the guards moved in. Jello stood slowly, shaking, eyes wide. He stepped toward Lena as she walked calmly back to her table. You fought it alone, he stammered. How? Lena picked up her cup. It was cracked. Chai had spilled everywhere. She sighed. That was my favorite blend. Jello didn't know what to say. Are all humans like you? She looked at him and gave the smallest smile. No, she said. Some are worse. The mess hall was quiet now. Smoke drifted through broken ceiling panels. Tables were shattered, and the beast's massive body lay still, one claw twitching slightly. Lena stood over it for a moment longer, and walked away without looking back. Jello followed her carefully, still unsure if she was real or something. A galaxy had only whispered about. She found a working water dispenser in the corner and rinsed her hands. Blood? dust, and chai mixed as she cleaned off the fight. "Where did you learn to do that?" Jello asked from a safe distance. Lena looked at him for a moment. Then she replied, simple and calm. "I'm from Earth." Jello frowned. "But Earth's not a war zone, is it?" Lena tilted her head. "Not always. But Earth trains you without asking." She sat down on a clean bench, pulled out another small pouch from her coat, and began making a fresh cup of chai in a small emergency heater. 3 years ago, on Earth, the jungle was alive with sound. Wind rustled massive trees. Animals howled. In the distance, and insects hissed in warning. Lina, only 16 then, crouched near a shallow river. She wore old boots and carried a curved blade made from local steel. Her job was simple: survive. No adults, no guards, no fences, only one rule: don't die before graduation. The place was called Blackroot Valley, one of Earth's death zones. Not all children were sent there. Only the ones who scored highest on instinct tests. It wasn't punishment. It was preparation. A beast had stalked her then, too. Fast, silent, with claws, just like the one on the station today. She'd used a sharp rock and a fire stick to take it down, and had the scar on her shoulder to prove it. And through it all, chai was always with her. "Why do you drink tea before fights?" her mentor had once asked. Lena had smiled. "Because tea keeps my heart human even when everything else turns wild." Now, at the station, the steam from the new chai curled upward. Jello sat on the edge of a chair across from her. He looked down at the beast's body, then back at her. "You're not a soldier," he said. "No," Lena answered. "But I am human." He hesitated. "Is it true that your people come from a death world?" Lena took a sip. "That's what you call it." Jello looked confused. "What do you call it?" She thought for a moment. "Home." The station commander arrived minutes later, surrounded by alien officers and scientists. His voice was sharp. "Report." One of the guards stepped forward. Subject Gamma broke out. 2 guards dead. Labs 6 and 7 damaged. 1 civilian neutralized the threat. The commander blinked. "Civilian?" He looked toward Lena, sitting quietly with a cup in her hand. "That girl?" "Yes, sir." The commander walked over and stood in front of her. "You're not part of security." "Nope." "You're not a combat unit." "Nope." He folded his arms. "Then why are you still alive?" Lena looked up slowly. "Because I finished my chai." The commander frowned. "You took down a beast engineered for war. That tray shouldn't have done anything." Lena held it up, dented, but still strong. "Earth steel," she said with a shrug. Jello added, "She didn't even panic. She moved like the monster was predictable." "It was," Lena said simply. The commander narrowed his eyes. "You knew its behavior?" "I knew how it think." "You mixed too many predator instincts. It was fast, but dumb. And aggressive creatures make lazy decisions." The commander leaned forward. "And how do you know this?" Lena smiled faintly. "Because I've been hunted before." In the background, tech crews lifted the creature's body into a sealed crate. Sparks flew as the lab started clean up, but word had already started to spread through the station. Not about the creature, but about her, the human girl who fought monsters. The one who never raised her voice. The one who finished her chai before lifting a finger. And somewhere deep in the database, someone quietly updated her status from civilian to unknown threat level, human, class red. Asterisk, the silence in the mess hall was thick after the cleanup. Most of the staff had returned to their rooms. Repairs were underway. Guards patrolled the halls in pairs now, their eyes sharp, weapons fully charged. But Lena didn't go back to her quarters. She walked toward the damaged, Lab sector where the beast had escaped from. Jello caught up with her. Hey, wait, where are you going? She kept walking. To see what else they've been making. Jello looked nervous. You think there's more? Lena nodded once. There's always more when people mix fear with science. The lab sector was dark and half destroyed. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Walls were cracked open like broken ribs. Inside, transparent tubes lined the walls, some shattered, others glowing with green light. Inside one tube, a second beast twitched in its sleep, this one smaller, but with sharper limbs. Lena stood in front of it. Jello whispered. They called them Project Gamma. They were designed to defend colonies. But the design was based on data from Earth's wildlife. She frowned. They used Earth DNA? Yes, from something called a cliff panther. Said it had the perfect kill instinct. Lena whispered. They didn't train it. They copied it. Jello blinked. What's the difference? She looked at him. You can teach a creature respect, but copying a monster just makes a bigger monster. Suddenly, a soft beep came from one of the terminals. The system recognized Lena's voice. Voice print matched. Observer, 119, clearance. Earth Directive Echo. Jello's mouth dropped open. You're part of Earth's government? Lena didn't answer. The screen showed encrypted files, now opening hidden reports, classified scans. A list of other Earth origin samples. Project Gamma wasn't the only thing they took. They had copied a dozen species from Earth's most dangerous. Zones some even banned on Earth itself. All grown in labs. All hidden from the galaxy's eyes. Lena muttered under her breath. You weren't building defenders. You were building weapons. Jello backed up. This wasn't me. I just fix food processors. But Lena wasn't looking. At him. Her eyes were locked on something else. A small cryopod sat in the corner, its glass frosted. It looked older than the rest. Almost forgotten. She wiped the glass clean. Inside was a child, human, sleeping in cryo-freeze. Her voice dropped. They didn't just take DNA. They took people. Jello stared in horror. That's illegal in every galactic system. Lena stepped back, fists clenched. Earth trusted this outpost with samples. They used it to copy death. The lights above flickered red. A voice came through the intercom. Unauthorized access detected in lab. Sector 7. Lockdown in progress. Lena looked at Jello. Go. Now. What about you? She turned to face the hallway where metal shutters were falling. I'll catch up. He didn't argue. Jello ran. Lena stood alone in the dim lab, alarm screaming again. But this time, she wasn't caught off guard. The first beast had been a warning. Now Earth would send questions. And if she didn't answer them, Earth might send someone far worse. She pulled a small metal disc from her jacket. A signal device. She twisted it once, then again. Somewhere, above the gas giant, a black ship awoke. On the bridge of the ship. Lights blinked. Systems came online. It wasn't part of the station. It was Tehran. A ghost ship, used only by one class of humans monitors. The ones who watched the stars not to explore them, but to make sure no one used Earth's secrets without permission. Lena's chai had cooled, but her mission had just begun. The lights above Lena flashed red. The cold lab shook as metal doors slammed shut. Gas hissed from the vents, filling the air with a sharp, burning smell. Emergency lockdown had begun. In the center tube, the second creature stirred. Its muscles twitched. Its claws pressed against the glass. Lena stepped back slowly. She didn't panic. She didn't blink. But her hand moved carefully toward the disc on her belt. From the shadows, a voice came through the overhead speakers. Observer 119. Your actions violate the Interstellar Research Accord. Step away from Project Gamma 2. Lena didn't answer. You do not have authorization. She looked up, her voice calm. You broke the treaty first. Earth gave you wildlife, not children. The voice said nothing. Instead, a loud crack echoed through the lab. The second beast was awake, the pod shattered. Glass sprayed across the floor. The creature stood slowly taller than the first. Its armor looked like bone, but sharper. Its body pulsed with heat. Its eyes glowed bright yellow. And this one could think. It tilted its head, staring directly at Lena. She didn't move. The creature snarled, not in rage, but in something colder. Recognition. It stepped forward, slow and careful, as if it knew she was dangerous. But it wasn't afraid. Lena whispered, You're not just copied, you're taught. The beast let out a low growl and circled her. The smell of burnt metal filled the air. She tightened her grip on the tray she still carried. It was cracked, bent, nearly useless now, but it wasn't her weapon this time. Lena reached inside her coat and pulled out a small metal needle, the size of her finger. Jello had told her earlier that this beast was made with synthetic nerve layers. If she could reach the central spinal socket, she had one chance, but the creature struck first. It lunged faster than the first beast. A blur of claws and teeth, Lena dove to the side. The floor cracked where she'd stood. She slid behind a lab table and rolled over it, landing close to the containment systems. The creature charged again. She moved with Deathworld instincts low, smooth and always 2 steps ahead. But even so, she was getting tired. Blood ran down her arm from a slice on her shoulder. The beast snarled and moved closer. Lena closed her eyes. In her mind, she was back on Earth, in the jungle, climbing a tree with no branches, bleeding, alone, a predator below, and a fire in her heart that said, Don't stop. She opened her eyes and charged forward. The move shocked the creature. Instead of dodging, she ran straight toward it, ducked under its swing, and jabbed the needle upward into its neck seam. Just under the armor plating. The beast screamed. Its legs twitched violently. Yellow light flashed through its body. Lena jumped back as it slammed into the wall, shaking the room. Equipment exploded. Sparks flew like fireflies. The beast tried to stand, but its movements were wild now. Uncontrolled, she stepped forward, breath slow. This is your final command, she whispered. She kicked the broken tray still, attached to a high-voltage cable toward the beast. The metal touched its skin. The power surged. The creature let out a final, gurgling roar and collapsed, smoke pouring from its mouth. Dead. The lab was dark again. Lena stood alone, chest rising and falling. Then a voice crackled through her earpiece. Observer 119. Orders confirmed. Station breach reported. Data secured. Do you require extraction? She looked at the lifeless form of the creature. Then at the frozen child in the cryopod. Her voice was quiet. Not yet. In the control room, the station commander stared at the screens. All feeds showed the same thing. A human girl, walking through the wreckage, still holding her broken tea tray. His assistant whispered, What do we do now? The commander said, Nothing. Then finally muttered, We pray she doesn't send the signal. Smoke drifted across the ruined lab. Sparks danced in the shadows like fireflies, and the scent of scorched metal lingered in the air. Lena stood over the creature's body, still and silent. The needle had done its work. The beast no longer moved. Its glowing eyes had faded. Its armored chest no longer rose with breath. She lowered her hand and whispered, Done. Behind her, the cryopod sat quiet. Inside, the human child still slept unaware of what had happened, or who had saved. Her. Lena looked at her chai pouch. It had only enough leaves left for one last cup, but not here. Not yet. In the station's command room. Tension was thick. The staff stared at the screen, showing the human girl in the lab. No one spoke. Then the commander turned and spoke quietly. To his aide, seal the footage. Delete all backups. The aide hesitated. Sir, that violates council law. Do it, the commander said coldly. If the council sees this, they'll call Earth. The aide obeyed. The galaxy feared war, but it feared Earth's silence even more. Lina walked through the corridor alone. Her boots crunched over broken glass and bloodied metal. Cello appeared from a side hallway, eyes wide. You're alive. Mostly, she said. He looked behind her. The second beast. She nodded. Gone. You stopped both. Alone. No one is ever alone, she said softly, glancing at the cum disc on her wrist. Earth watches. Cello looked pale. Will Earth come for the station? Lina paused. Her voice lowered. That depends on what the station does next. Back in the lab, the child's cryopods suddenly clicked. UNFREE, EZING.JEOO stepped closer. Wait, is she waking up? Lina walked over and placed a hand gently on the glass. The pod screen showed the girl's vital signs rising. She was no older than 8. Hair like Lina's. A scar on her wrist. Eyes still closed in stasis. She's one of us, Lina whispered. Taken when no one noticed. Hidden in code. You copied DNA. But this is kidnapping. Cello swallowed hard. What will Earth do if it finds out? Lina looked at him. That's not my call. But if Earth sends someone else, someone not holding T, you won't get a warning. Later, as the sun of the gas giant lit the horizon, Lina stood at the top of the station's solar deck. The wind moved through the broken panels. She boiled water in a small travel pot, pulled out the last chai leaves, mixed them in slowly. The scent rose-spiced, warm, human. She sat cross-legged on the floor. Eyes closed, breathing calm. Around her, the galaxy's laws were written in steel and fear. But Earth? Earth wrote in. Silence. The child was safe now, guarded in the med bay. The station crew had promised to report her as found, not stored. Lina had made sure of that, with words that didn't need to be repeated. She took the first sip of her final cup. And smiled. A message blinked on her wristcom. Observer 119, Terran Blackwatch cruiser standing by. Extraction or standby? She replied with one word. Standby? Earth didn't need to strike yet. She had sent the message. The message was her. Week later, across the Galaxy stories spread like wildfire. They called her the Chai Deathwalker. Some said she was trained from birth to kill monsters with kitchen tools. Others claimed she was a war ghost, a failed clone. A myth. But one detail never changed. A quiet girl. A sip of tea. And a beast that never walked again. And deep beneath Earth's surface. In a hidden chamber lined with dark steel, high-ranking humans reviewed the report. A black file stamped with red ink. Theta 9 violation. Resolved by Observer 119. One general grunted. She went off script. Another smiled. She followed the most important rule. Which is? The general raised his teacup and said, never interrupt a human while they're drinking chai.